Defending in eFootball 2026 feels very different compared to the last version. In eFootball 2025, you could sit back holding the matchup button, slowly dropping your defenders, and then hoping the interception comes to you. That style worked because the game flow was slower and often more predictable, if you get what I mean. But this year, defending has changed. The game feels sharper because players attack with more variety. For instance, pace. Cursor switching behaves differently, and most importantly, opponents have gotten smarter. So if you defend like it's still 2025, you will be punished. You will concede, and it will feel like every attack against you is a goal. But the truth is, once you understand some of my common defensive mistakes in a football and learn how to fix them, you'll instantly notice your backline feels more solid and you'll concede fewer silly goals. Let's break it down mistake by mistake. I'll show you exactly what the mistake looks like, an example of how it happens in-game, and the clear fix you can start using right away. Mistake 1. Sitting back too much and not applying immediate pressure. One of the most common mistakes is sitting too deep and being passive, even when you should apply immediate pressure. This happens when you keep tracking back with one defender, thinking you're delaying the attack, but you end up giving the opponent too much freedom to progress. For example, Gabriel Jesus had the ball just outside the box. I was controlling Van Dijk, while Rice was much closer to Jesus. Instead of switching to Rice and applying pressure right away, I kept controlling VVD and retreating, trying to contain. Jesus turned, had the space to drive forward, and by the time I finally rushed with VVD, it was too late. Jesus had already set up the shot and scored. If the opponent is facing your goal and has a clear route forward, don't just drop back with your center back. Quickly switch to the nearest midfielder and cut off the attack at the source. Think of it like this. Your center backs are the last line. You don't want them to face every dribble head on. Use your midfielders for the first layer of pressure. This forces your opponent to make faster decisions and reduces the chances of them walking into a shooting position. How to practice it? Go into training mode and practice cursor switching quickly to the nearest player. Focus on timing, not too early, not too late. Your goal is to stop the ball carrier before they run at your center backs. Mistake 2. Poor clearances and risky backward passing. Another huge defensive error is overcomplicating your clearances. Instead of putting the ball out of danger, players try to pass it backwards or play short one-touch passes under pressure. In eFootball 2026, with higher pressure and more aggressive interceptions, this is a recipe for disaster. For example, VVD was going for a loose ball near my half. Instead of turning left into open space, the least pressured area, I headed the ball sideways toward my left center back. My LCB received it, but because of network delay, the pass out took too long. Haaland stole the ball and went for goal. If I had just cleared with VVD, I would have been safe. Another match, my opponent's clearance dropped into my half. My player went for the ball with 3 of my opponent's attackers pressing. Instead of clearing, I headed it down to a teammate who immediately lost it under pressure to Haaland. Luckily, I recovered, but it could have easily been another conceded goal. Don't get fancy at the back. When you're under heavy pressure, clear the ball. Safety first. Especially when big guys like Haaland are lurking, one bad touch or delayed pass is all they need. How to practice it? Next time you're under pressure in your own half, remind yourself, safety first. Play 10 matches where your only rule is to clear under pressure instead of passing. You'll notice how many cheap goals you prevent. Over time, you'll naturally learn to recognize when it's safe to pass short and when to clear. Mistake 3. Using assisted cursor switching. This is similar to mistake 1, but not exactly the same. It often happens, especially if you rely too much on assisted cursor change. The auto switch doesn't always pick the best player, and sometimes it leaves you out of position. For example, Rodri passed to Odegaard on the left. The natural player to control should have been Scholes, or a nearby defensive midfielder to block Odegaard's lane. Instead, assisted cursor change switched me to my right back, completely away from the action. That moment of delay allowed Odegaard to progress, and when the play reached Haaland, it almost ended in a goal. Thankfully, my keeper saved, but it was a dangerous chance that started from poor cursor switching. Stop relying fully on assisted cursor change. Use semi-assisted or go manual so you control who you switch to and when. This gives you control to always put pressure on the most dangerous player. Yes, it takes practice, but once you master it, you'll stop giving opponents free runs into your box. How to practice it? In training, play with manual switching. Force yourself to manually select the best option when the ball is in transition. It will feel awkward at first, but gradually you'll notice you're always the one applying pressure instead of chasing. Mistake 4. Relying too much on strength battles. I know strength is important, but over-relying on it against fast and strong wingers like Salah is a terrible mistake. Many players commit their defenders into shoulder-to-shoulder battles, thinking they can outmuscle the attacker. But in eFootball 2026, pace and acceleration often win over strength, and once beaten, you're completely exposed. For example, Salah had the ball on the right wing. My left back decided to go strength versus strength, stepping up aggressively, but Salah blew past him with speed, leaving me completely exposed. The better option would have been to fall back to delay and force Salah away from dangerous zones. Against someone slower, maybe strength could work, but against elite pace, it's a losing battle. The key is to judge the attacker. If it's someone like Salah, don't gamble on strength. Contain, delay, and guide them wide. If it's a weaker winger with less pace, you can risk a physical challenge. Smart defending is knowing which tool to use against which attacker. How to practice it. Play focused matches where your only goal is to contain wingers. Don't dive in. Track their runs by forcing them wide and see how many attacks you neutralize just by patience. This builds the discipline to stop overcommitting. Mistake 5. Ignoring runners behind the defense. The final and most underrated mistake is ignoring the runner behind your defensive line when the ball carrier is driving forward. Too many players get drawn to the ball, forgetting that the real danger is often the player making the run off the ball. For example, Salah carried the ball forward on the wing. My center back stepped up to confront him, but at the same time, a striker made a run behind. Instead of tracking the runner, I ball watched and committed to Salah. Salah simply slipped the pass through to the striker, who was completely free. Luckily, I didn't concede that time, but most of the time, you will. When defending, always scan for the runner. If the striker is making a run behind your defender, prioritize following him while also keeping an eye on the carrier. Don't just immediately go after the carrier. How to practice it. Force yourself to look off the ball when defending. Every time the opponent has possession, quickly glance at their strikers, anticipate the run, and track it before the pass is even played. In a few matches, this habit becomes automatic. So those are 5 of my most common defensive mistakes in eFootball 2026. Fixing these doesn't require crazy skill moves or advanced tactics. It's about awareness and decision-making. Do these consistently, and you'll immediately notice you're conceding fewer silly goals, and you'll start winning matches that used to slip away. Remember, the fewer mistakes you make, the more control you have over the game.